all my other stuff, all my other. Did you all get that stipulation hammered out?
Judge, we did, and it's signed, and I'll provide it to you if it can be read before we call our next witness.
Okay.
We'll introduce those two exhibits.
Yeah, we're stipulating to the photographs the state intends to introduce. Part of that, those exhibits as a rap song authored by Davion Murphy. We're objecting on the basis of relevance, that it goes back to 2001.
I'm sorry, what are you objecting to?
Just the written rap song.
2019.
2019, correct, goes back 6 years.
Okay. Well, overall the objection. So with that though, you're stipulating that defendant Davion Murphy wrote the song, the rap song in State Exhibit 85 on April 19, 2019, correct?
Correct, but we're objecting on basis of relevance and that the staleness of it is not relevant to anything that occurred in 2025.
I understand, but I'll overrule that objection. So with that objection being overruled, you stipulated, correct?
Correct. Well, we'll enter into that stipulation over our objection.
Okay. Very good. Okay, defendants are present, defense counsel's present, state's present, and if all jurors are back, all right, let's bring them in.
All rise. All jurors are in, Judge.
Okay, very good. Welcome back, everybody. We are ready to proceed. Before we get going, we have another stipulation. And again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when lawyers agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact. You must accept stipulated facts as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as with all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept as true are stipulation between the state of Florida and Davion Murphy regarding Davion Murphy's tattoos. It is hereby stipulated by and between the defendant Davion Murphy and the state of Florida that Davion Murphy obtained his tattoos, including the 1200 block tattoo, on his neck before January 15th of 2021. In addition, he wrote the rap song in State Exhibit 85 on April 19th of 2019. And this stipulation is signed by Michelle Doherty on behalf of the state, Mr. Nicholas Sonardi, attorney on behalf of Davion Murphy, and Davion Murphy himself. All right, with that, you may call your next witness.
The state would call Detective Craig Griffin.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Good afternoon. You may proceed.
Sir, would you state your name for the record?
Detective Craig Griffin with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Gang Investigative Unit.
And I believe the last time we spoke about a vehicle stop which you were a part of.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was the driver of that vehicle?
Mr. Sean Gathright.
If I could at this time have you identify Mr. Gathright in the courtroom, please.
Yes, ma'am. Standing over there with the, or sitting with the tan sweater at the first table.
If the record would reflect the identification.
The record shall so reflect.
Sir, how long have you been with the gang unit in Jacksonville?
A little over 5 years now.
In that time, have you been assigned to any particular gang itself?
Yes, ma'am.
And what gang is that?
Beginning, I started with CTC and then transitioned over to 1200 out east.
What do you mean transitioned?
So prior to me taking over, there was another detective assigned to him. He got promoted to the rank of supervisor. Once he left, I then took over the group known as 1200.
And did the group you had before and 1200, when you transitioned to that position, did it share members or have members that were a part of the first group that you had documented or were working?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you become familiar with any information that the prior detective had when you transitioned, your predecessor?
I worked alongside him on several cases, and we worked together on majority of the stuff in reference to 1200.
Do you all at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office maintain records with any documentation that you preserve for each of the gangs that you're assigned to?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are those records referred to as?
They're known as FIR or Field Investigative Reports.
Do you update those reports or keep logs or notes in some way when documenting specific gang members in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, is that log something that is shared with the other officers of the gang unit or even the other officers in the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Just through the reports, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And are you the point of contact for 1200 if there are questions about 1200 for any other officer in your agency?
Yes, ma'am.
How about outside of your agency?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the individual point of contact for any reference to or question about 1200?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we've heard a few times throughout the trial 1200 and out east referred together. Can you explain just what that is, what the discrepancy is there?
Yes, ma'am. The original gang is referred to as out east, and then you have subsets within out east, and so they would be 1200 from the 1200 block of East First Street and APR.
Is that actually physically on the east side of Jacksonville?
Yes, it is.
And out east or 1200 in your investigations, have you learned many of its members are from out east?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have some kind of particularized training or experience in documenting or monitoring gangs?
Yes, ma'am.
And in your time with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, have you been assigned to different areas, even when you were with patrol?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to patrol the area out east?
No, ma'am. Prior to out east, I was assigned to the north side of Jacksonville, specifically 45th and Moncrief.
At 45th and Moncrief, did you become familiar with 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am.
How about the members of that group prior to it actually becoming 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am. Certain individuals.
And in working that area, were you familiar with some type of rivalry between 1200 and ATK and 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to respond to scenes related to incidents regarding both sides of the war?
Yes, ma'am.
After you were assigned to the gang unit, had it been already documented that 1200 was a gang?
Yes, ma'am.
And would a predecessor of yours have done that documentation?
That's correct.
What is required to document that a gang is a gang by law?
It would be under Florida State Statute 874, a group of 3 or more in which do criminal or delinquent acts.
And at the time that you actually subsumed or took over 1200, had that already been established?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time of the homicide of Charles Jones, was 1200 a documented gang still in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had any particularized training or gone to conferences, maybe with the Gang Association or HIDA?
Yes, ma'am, both.
And what kind of training do they provide?
Up-to-date gang training, specifically gang courses. We also learn about other gang investigations throughout the state of Florida. They have speakers come in from out of state that talk about their investigations into gangs. And other than you got the HIDA courses to include cell phone courses, cell site courses, social media investigations, search warrants, seizure warrants, all of the above.
And are illegal activities of the 3 or more members engaged in, at least in part illegal activities, something that you can describe for us that you have seen in your time with investigating 1200?
Yes, ma'am. Specifically would be violent crimes to include murder, aggravated assault. Also, there's been several narcotics sales, narcotics investigations to include the sale of marijuana, sale of cocaine, trafficking, and illegal narcotics.
Is it that all of the members of 1200 would be present when each of those offenses would occur, or is that members individually that can commit those offenses?
Both.
How do you attribute those criminal offenses to profiting or promoting the gang itself?
Both, in which they profit from the drug sales and then use it to, I believe, make videos to either diss the other side, or it's in retaliation to making YouTube videos or online comments to speak upon the other side because of what they said or another death that had happened prior to them hurting or killing somebody else.
When those deaths actually occur, do you see subsequent to the death social media videos that are posted referencing it?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And is that what you mean by monetizing or profiting from those videos?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also mention weapons offenses?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you made several arrests of members associating with each other regarding weapons offenses?
Yes, ma'am.
Were the weapons themselves possessed?
Correct.
And in those same instances, were those weapons utilized?
Yes, ma'am.
In this particular case, did you have an opportunity to review a chart of the associated persons for this investigation for the Tampa homicide of Charles Jones with 1200?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Your Honor, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibit 84A.
Judge, subject to prior objection.
Okay? Same? Sure. Any further objection? Okay, same, Mr. Petrides? All right, same, Mr. Wise? Okay, same ruling, be admitted.
Publishing 84A, sir, can you look over your, oh, actually, I've got it here for you. Is this fair and accurately representing the individuals in some way related to this particular investigation, at least as far as your involvement was concerned?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it include individuals who are documented 1,200 members, or associates?
Yes, ma'am.
How is it that you go about documenting or undocumenting a specific member?
So in order to document, they have to meet 2 of the criteria listed in Florida State Statute 874, and then we fill out an FIR. In reference to undocumenting members, there's a 5-year statute in which you have to, they're up for renewal or review at that time.
Is that a federal statute that Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has developed operating procedures to comply with?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure.
Is your practice to, every 5 years, determine whether to undocument or recertify?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And the records that you actually keep or maintain specific to each group, so for you individually, 1,200, is that a practice or standard operating procedure that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has implemented?
Yes, ma'am.
Statutorily, though, is there a specific carve-out for 1,200?
No.
So the Florida statute that you have to review as far as gang documentation or qualification doesn't say anything specific about 1,200
No, ma'am.
or any other gang to your knowledge.
No, ma'am.
In meeting the criteria for a criminal gang, as you've discussed, you said 3 or more individuals?
Yes, ma'am.
And is the delinquent activity that you mentioned or the commission of criminal acts also a requirement?
That is correct, yes.
And what are some of the things that you look for that are common amongst individuals in making or documenting an actual gang itself?
We look at hand signs, specifically Instagram, social media, websites, YouTube videos, who they hang out with, style of dress, tattoos. There's a whole list, I want to say, of 11 items.
And of those 11 criteria, do you look to those criteria in order to actually document your report, so your FIR report record?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you had an opportunity in this particular case to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the FIR report, did you actually do so with an individual by the name of Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
In creating that documentation, do you still utilize the statute with the 11 criteria?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
And how many criteria are you actually required to prove up before the person can be a documented gang member?
The state statute only requires 2.
How many criteria did you actually prove up as it related to Rashad Murphy?
I believe he had 4.
And when you created these documentations, did you leave or annotate somewhere specifically what you utilized to say he met each criteria?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that have been from the date of June 23rd of 2024, at least within the last 5 years?
Yes, ma'am.
What, as a part of the documentation that you had for Mr. Rashad Murphy, did you actually include in your FIR report, or did you specifically document?
In reference to that report, I took 3 YouTube videos, Active, We the Ops, and Flower Bed were 3 posted YouTube videos in which I observed Rashad Murphy in.
And did you also have an opportunity to slow down or create still images from those photos themselves?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have an opportunity to review an FIR or records for an individual by the name of Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you actually compare the criteria to your interactions with Mr. Murphy in January of 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
During the course of an interview at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, did you observe some of the criteria occurring with Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am. I believe there was 2 of them that he met during the interview.
Just on that day alone?
Just on that day, yes,
What
ma'am.
were those criteria?
He did the hand sign for 1200, and then also he has tattoos associated to 1200.
Did you indicate that you did in fact have an opportunity to review the videos that you utilized to document Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
In addition to those videos, did you have other information, whether it was you personally or through a fellow officer, about contacts with gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did that include?
That included contacts to include Rashad Murphy with Noah Williams.
And who is Noah Williams?
He's a documented member of 1200.
Does he have a stage name?
He does. He goes by Spinabins.
And does Spinabins make music with someone related to him?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is that?
Reginald Williams, which would be his brother, a.k.a. Wappa with the Chopper Aducci.
Is Wappa with the Choppa a stage name for Mr. Reginald Williams?
Yes, it is.
And does Mr. Reginald Williams have a nickname on the street that's different than Wappa with the Choppa?
He goes by Ducci.
Now, in documenting 1200, was there a gang that's either that came before 1200 or that 1200 members were formerly known by?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the name of that?
187.
And do you have any reference from your investigation as to what 187 refers to?
In reference to my investigation, I believe the 187 refers to the California Penal Code to homicide or murder.
In the entirety of the time that you have had 1200, have you seen 187 utilized with documented 1200 members?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that typically related to one age group?
It would be the age group that Noah, Reginald, and Rashad are all associated with.
At this stage of the game, basically, is that the older guys in the group?
They would be classified as an older group now, yes.
And how is Cuckoo Gang related to 1200?
Cuckoo Gang is something that came shortly after 1200. Once a lot of members started going to jail and unfortunately losing their life to gang violence, they created a new group for the younger ones up underneath them.
So we heard about Six Block and Bully Gang and those kinds of subsets. Is this the same type of thing? 1200 will have subsets as well?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Did you indicate that there were 2 separate vehicle stops for which Rashad Murphy had been documented in the presence of other known gang members that were included in your FIR?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have an opportunity to review or receive physical evidence as it related to the gang gang records for defendant Davion Murphy.
Yes, I did.
I'd like to show you this chart here. Can you tell me what the relationship as far as your work with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and 1200 was between ATK and 1200?
They would be considered friendly with each other.
In looking at the top left of your screen for Ducci and Spinabens, do you see the images there?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to see those individuals depicted in music videos with individuals from ATK in the bottom right?
Yes, ma'am.
And have the interactions that you have had either in person or seen on the internet been that they are aligned?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you also have an opportunity to see in the top left an individual by the name of J. or J. Breezy?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that individual a documented gang member?
He is, but I don't know for which gang. He's not currently documented as 1200. He might be documented as a Bloods member currently.
Did there come a time when J. Breezy had some kind of a falling out with his gang?
Yes, ma'am.
On social media. And as it stands on today's date, do we know what his status is and with which gang?
No, ma'am.
Do we know whether J. Breezy actually meets the statutory criteria for being a gang member, though?
Yes, ma'am. I believe he has tattoos, and then several videos he's seen throwing up hand signs.
And then also in the depiction on the left of 84A, do you recognize two other individuals by the name of Prosper Johnson and Deonta Holsey?
Yes, ma'am.
And are those individuals who have lost their life in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Prosper Johnson have a nickname that he went by?
He went by just Prosper.
And did Deonta Holsey have a nickname?
He did. He went by either Tay or Junior.
Now, Joe Rod Spaz Adams, are you familiar with his death?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you familiar with who was convicted in his case?
I believe it was Robert Howard.
How about, and is that a 6-block member?
Yes, ma'am.
How about in the bottom right, Hakeem Robinson? Do you see that individual?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that someone who had recently pled guilty in the death of a 6-block member?
Yes, ma'am. He pled guilty to the murder of Bibby, which is Adrian Gaynor.
I'd like to take you back to the music videos. The first video I think that you mentioned was Active. Is that a video that you were able to see on the public YouTube channel?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review that music video in its entirety?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you able to document one or more 1,200 members in that music video?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to do the same for the song that you mentioned, Flower Bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And lastly, did you have an opportunity to do the same for We the Ops?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
In reviewing those videos, did you testify that you frequently screenshot them or take still images from them?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
And in those videos, did you have an opportunity to see hand signs or gang signs?
Yes, ma'am.
How about other items that met the statutory criteria?
Yes, ma'am. Would have been, I believe, style of dress.
Meaning the clothing?
Correct.
And how about associations amongst each other?
Yes, ma'am. There were other documented members in the YouTube videos.
At this time, Your Honor, the state seeks to admit State's Exhibit 137A through C and 114A through B as a composite with their stills.
137 AC and 114.
A, B, and C.
Okay.
A and B are 1 through 9, and C is 1 through 13.
Okay, very good. Mr. Gonzalez, any objections?
Subject to prior objection, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Sonardi?
Subject to prior objection.
Okay, Mr. Wise
Same, Your Honor.
and Mr. Petratus. Okay, they'll be admitted.
Sir, speaking specifically about your documentation of defendant Rashad Murphy, did you have an opportunity to document several images in the music video Active of Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it that we're looking at here, please?
We're looking at the opening scene of the video.
Were these individuals depicted on the opening scene of the video present for the rap song itself?
Yes, ma'am.
And are the videos that we are about to see considered drill rap as it relates to your investigations?
Yes, ma'am.
What is drill rap?
Drill rap is a type of music in which individuals rap about either going on to hurt somebody or somebody that has been killed. It's a very violent type of music in which it's put out. I believe it originally came from Chicago, came down to Florida and caught fire, and it took off from there.
And is it prolific in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
As awful as it is, does it provide significant amounts of information to your agency?
It does, yes, ma'am.
Can you identify any of the individuals specifically in this particular photograph?
Yes, ma'am. The gentleman in the back holding the shirt with the red X is Deshaun Williams. I believe that's Noah Williams on taking a knee, and the gentleman in the back his name's Creep. I'm unsure. I want to say Dominic Williams. That's his name.
Is this, or are these three images and 114 still images from that music video of Active?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there specific images, at least on the top of this particular screen, which you documented?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there an individual depicted in those stills as a reason that you documented those in Rashad Murphy's report?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could just describe the individual that you documented.
It's the gentleman in the middle with the braids it'd be the left hand.
If you would just
Photo.
stand, it might be easier because there's three
Yeah, why don't
pictures
you
on
just
this
stand
one.
and point?
Oh, where we at here? Okay. It's been this gentleman, Rashad.
And you utilized these stills in order to document Mr. Rashad Murphy's presence in this Active video.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at the still image to the top right, do you see the hands above Mr. Murphy's head?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is being depicted there?
So it's actually a diss sign to the north side or 6th block. It's a handgun pointed towards the 6 hand symbol.
And at the bottom of your screen there with Mr. Creep,
That would be the same.
is it common or uncommon to see these hand signs utilized by 1,200 members?
It's not uncommon.
And were these depictions, some of the depictions utilized in this circumstance from April 3rd of 2020 when Active was posted
That's
as a
correct.
documented time of contact with known gang associates?
Yes, ma'am.
In 114, did you also have an opportunity to document hand signs utilized by the individual you documented for Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
And could you describe for us what those hand signs were?
The middle hand sign is another diss to the 6. As you can see, he's making the 6 hand sign, and then the thumbs down to follow up the 6 hand sign.
And now, if the order of hand signs in the music video are K, 6, and the thumbs down, does that mean anything to you?
Correct. That'd be 6 killer or kill 6, and then man down with the thumbs down.
Have you seen a thumbs down in your investigation of 1,200?
Yes, ma'am.
And has there been any relationship or link to bully down or down signs for the bully gang?
Correct.
Set of 6 block.
It's the same reference. With the thumbs down is death diss to somebody that has died.
Is that the same as what we've heard about as putting the upside down 6 or the other hand signs down, even 1,200 sign down?
Correct. It's still a diss.
Now, you also mentioned clothing. If we can look again at these stills from 114A, were the individuals depicted in the music video wearing clothing that you documented?
Yes, ma'am.
What is 187 Boys? Is that something you had seen?
Yes, ma'am. So that was the group prior to 1,200. They were known as 187. And so 187 Boys, the group as a whole.
And is Free Shoot 'em on the bottom there, is that related to the name or is that something else?
They might be doing a shout out to somebody that's locked up. I'm unsure who Shoot 'em is.
But that's not related to the overall name that the group went by.
No, ma'am.
How about the shirt to the left of the screen here as well?
So in the shirt, it's actually another diss sign to the North Side gang known as 6 Block. They have rest and piss and then an X out of the shirt of Fulio, depiction of Fulio, aka Charles Jones.
And did you have an opportunity in 137 to actually view the entirety of the Active music video?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. You can take that. particular case, Fools, Charles, or Six?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you document from this specific video itself contacts that Rashad Murphy would have had with other gang members?
Correct.
Can you identify the other certified gang members from that video alone? Were there any in addition to Reginald and Noah Williams and Creep?
It would also have been Deshaun Williams, aka Greenlight.
And that would have been an incident of a contact or association with known gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are Noah Williams and Reginald Williams, Waka Waka Choppa, and Spinna Benz?
Correct.
And are they probably the most viewed artists from 1200 in Jacksonville on YouTube, if you're looking at views?
Them and Greenlight, I would add in that list also.
But pretty popular.
Yes, ma'am.
And as it relates to these videos themselves, is there something that you get out of the fact that the defendant Rashad Murphy is not depicted rapping in the videos? Does it change your analysis of whether he's present or associating with other gang members?
No, ma'am.
Is it required in your documentation for any member to be actively a part of the music video by way of rapping?
No, ma'am.
Is the association from the music video in itself sufficient?
Yes, ma'am.
How about the utilization of hand signs or gang signs?
Same.
On June 27th of 2020, did you have an opportunity to also see an additional video called Flower Bed and document that video?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that video documented in relation to Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a nickname that Rashad Murphy is known by?
Yes, ma'am. Ghost 187.
And is there a phrase or a term that has been utilized without the numbers of just Ghost?
Just Ghost.
In this particular image that we're seeing on the screen, 114B, do you recognize these opening credits?
Yes, ma'am.
And do these accurately reflect the opening credits for the song Flower Bed?
That's correct.
Despite the screen saying Flower Beds, is it posted to the internet singular?
Correct.
Okay. And are we seeing the name of the individuals who are actually, again, rapping?
Yes, ma'am.
During the course of this video, is there any kind of audio directly linked to Rashad Murphy?
No.
Is there a reference or portions of this video which were documented in reference to the gang documentation for Rashad Murphy on this particular date?
Yes, ma'am.
And was this on a date separate and apart from the original date
Correct.
of active?
It's different from the date of active.
Did you have an opportunity to take stills from the images in Flower Bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And is there an individual in particular, and if you need to stand, please do so, that you documented from Flower Bed and included in the gang documentation for Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Please identify that individual by utilizing the screen.
So you have Caleb Howard, you have Noah Williams, you got Malik Bills, and then also Rashad Murphy.
Has Malik Beals been killed?
Yes, ma'am. He went by the name Leaky. He has since lost his life due to gang violence.
So is any reference to a long-lived Leaky, have you seen that before?
Everywhere.
And does that have any relevance or significance in your investigations?
Yes, ma'am, because oftentimes the opposing side 6 block would make diss records towards Leaky.
Or say the name Leaky in their songs?
Correct.
We say records, so I want to make sure. Of the YouTube videos.
Yes, ma'am.
And the individuals that you've identified, are they certified gang members or documented? I know it's not certified. Documented gang members in Jacksonville.
Documented gang members or associates.
And have you utilized this video for Rashad Murphy's gang documentation and his association with other known gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there different, I don't want to say vantage points, but I guess different places that this video was shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Are these 3 depictions on the screen additional images that you documented from the Flower Bed video as it relates to the documentation for Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
And lastly, this location for this music video was Rashad Murphy's documentation reflected from something in these?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are the other members, if any, depicted that you have not already identified?
You have Reginald Williams, still Rashad Murphy, and then Deshaun Williams in the background.
And did you have an opportunity to review this video in its entirety?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, bitch, hey.
Detective, in Flower Bed, was there a reference to 187?
I believe so.
Was there a reference to opposing gang victims?
Correct.
And was this music video and the date and time listed in Flower Bed also documented as a part of Mr. Murphy's FIR report?
Yes, ma'am.
Lastly, for music videos, did you have an opportunity to review a music video called We the Ops?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, was that by the same artists?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, in this particular video, is there any portion in which Mr. Rashad Murphy is actually rapping that you can hear or see?
No, ma'am.
But did you utilize this video to document additional contacts?
Yes, ma'am.
And did this video happen on or was this video posted on a separate date as the other two videos that we have just seen?
That's correct.
I'm showing you 114. What is this?
The opening scene to We the Ops.
Is there anything specific about the individual or the hand that's depicted in this screen?
Yes, ma'am. That is, I believe, Rashad Murphy's right hand because of the star tattoo that's on his forearm.
Did you have an opportunity to take still images from We the Ops that you utilized in your documentation of Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
In 114, can you describe for us who was depicted, if you can identify Mr. Murphy and or any additional gang members?
Yes, ma'am. You have Rashad Murphy, you have Reginald Williams, Noah Williams, and then Deshaun Williams over here.
Is that the green light individual?
Yes, ma'am.
Certified gang members?
Yes, ma'am. Documented members.
Now, what is it that we're looking at here, please?
It's Rashad. It's a disc to the 6 with a firearm in his hand, and then that's another disc to the 6 as well. He's doing the 6 hand sign, but with his right hand.
Is the 6 down?
Yes, ma'am.
And does Mr. Murphy utilize those hands to put the gun at the 6?
That's correct.
Is that what we're seeing on the still image on the screen here?
Yes, ma'am. Same image.
Were there again separate locations at which this video was filmed?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are we seeing on the image in the left-hand side of the screen, please?
The left-hand side shows a gentleman in a ski mask holding a firearm, pointing it at the 6-block hand symbol with also the 18 shirt on. And then you have Rashad with a firearm pointing it at the 6 hand symbol.
Are these common depictions that you see during the course of your investigations of the group 1200?
Yes, ma'am.
And paired with the lyrics of the songs or your contacts and your investigative work, is this meant to be a message to 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am.
Lastly, in this particular image, is there anyone that you have not already identified as a gang member or a known gang associate?
No, ma'am. We've already identified everybody.
Document the individual that you had previously identified and documented as Rashad Murphy from this video doing some type of a handshake or sign with the individual you previously identified as green light.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what's depicted here at this portion of the video?
That's correct.
Are you actually able to replicate that hand sign or that handshake, excuse me, in any way?
No, ma'am. Even I've tried slowing it down and seeing what they do, but I was unable to do it.
Have you commonly seen that kind of like hand shake in the air utilized by 1,200 members?
Not too many times. I've seen that less than I've seen them doing the common normal 1,200 hand sign,
What's the common normal 1,200 hand sign?
where they throw it up.
And is the 1,200 sign itself identifiable to you when you're watching videos?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we saw several individuals putting up a 6 with their hands. Is there any question in your mind that Noah Williams is 1,200 instead of 6 Block?
It's not. No, there's no question that he's
Okay,
100%.
He's not a 6 Block member.
No, ma'am.
But do you see often the use of the opposing side's signs?
Yes, ma'am. Just to make fun, make a disc, point a gun at it.
And in that same video, if you saw or documented a K and then a 6, a K with your hand and then a 6, is that indicative of something?
Yes, ma'am. Of 6K, which would be 6 block killer.
Did you, over the course of your time in the gang unit, have an opportunity to respond to Rashad Murphy's arrest location?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And at the initial time of your response, had Mr. Murphy been taken into custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me take that
No,
back.
he wasn't
Based on
in
the-
the custody. It was a SWAT standoff. They were trying to get him out of the apartment.
So were you standing nearby but not involved with SWAT actually entering?
Correct.
Did you have an opportunity to review the footage from that standoff itself?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the observations that you made from outside of that building as it related to what was being done to extract Mr. Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the state seeks to admit States Exhibit 144A and 119.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Sonardi, any objection?
No objection.
And Mr. Wise? And Mr. Petratus? Okay, they'll be admitted.
Sir, can you show us what we're looking at here in 144B?
So we're looking at the apartment in which Rashad Murphy was held up in. We have it surrounded by SWAT, and at this point in time, they would be giving verbal commands, loud announcements for Rashad to come out of the house with his hands up.
Were the announcements made on some kind of device or just by shouting?
No, ma'am, they were made over a megaphone.
And over a term of minutes or hours?
We were out there for hours that day.
At some point after the bright lights are used, or is there a machine utilized to break a window?
Yes, ma'am, our SWAT team utilized some kind of construction machinery to come around and destroy a window to put a incendiary device inside to make Rashad come out.
In addition to flashbangs, was smoke also used to try to get Mr. Rashad Murphy out of the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize Exhibit 119?
Yes, ma'am, it's an infrared view of the apartment.
And at this point in the evening, had a device rolled in or some kind of truck rolled in to utilize an arm to break this side's window?
Correct, that would have been the construction equipment, which our SWAT team uses.
Publishing 119. Is the vehicle at the bottom center of the screen also a SWAT vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, it's an armored vehicle in which they were ready to make contact should Rashad Murphy had came out of the apartment.
Other surveillance items that were utilized, did they include drones?
That is correct.
So I'm just going to speed this up just slightly. At the 109 mark, restarting. Is that machine used to break out the window on this side of the structure?
Yes, ma'am, so it breaks the window, and then at the end of the boom, there's an incendiary device in which they will ignite, and it'll fill the apartment full of a clear out and a bunch. You'd have to ask SWAT what they use, but it's pretty potent.
Based on your observations, does SWAT use masks of some type before they actually enter apartments that this has been utilized in, the smoke?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is ultimately close to the conclusion of this incident, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Shortly after this was ignited inside the apartment, Mr. Murphy, there was contact made.
And you had, I think we heard prior testimony, but the law enforcement agencies had at least been there trying to extract him since approximately 5 p.m.?
If not before, we were there when the sun was out, and we didn't leave until nighttime.
And did the still in 144A fairly and accurately represent the style of dress that the members that were attempting to extract Mr. Murphy were in?
Yes, ma'am, that's our SWAT team.
In addition to the mechanism that you mentioned that rode up to the window to break it and utilize the smoke, were there also other techniques used?
Yes, ma'am.
All of those prior to the smoke, though, were unsuccessful?
Correct. They tried using announcement. They used just smoke to send inside the house. I believe they used clear out, which is another form of gas that's hard to inhale. None of those worked, and then finally they're decided on this option.
The image that we saw in the slide prior to this, though, was some kind of infrared, correct?
Correct.
Lastly, does ultimately Mr. Murphy surrender to law enforcement?
He does. He comes out with a dog and a Bible in his hand.
And does this fairly in 144C fairly and accurately represent when Mr. Rashad Murphy actually came out of the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And was he taken into custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he cooperative in that process?
At that point, he was.
And was he transported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for an interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you present for the interview of Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that occur on July 30th?
That's correct.
I'm showing you what's previously been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 116. Do you recognize yourself in these images?
Yes, ma'am.
And do they fairly and accurately represent Mr. Rashad Murphy on the date that he was interviewed by you and Detective Drabeck?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to observe Rashad Murphy's person at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you all provide this covering, or is that how Mr. Murphy arrived?
No, ma'am. We provided it. He said he was cold, so we provide blankets.
Did you have an opportunity to compare the image that's depicted in State's Exhibit 116 to the music video from We the Ops in documenting Mr. Murphy's tattoo?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a face covering that was utilized by the individual in We the Ops with these clothing?
During that time, yes, ma'am.
And did you utilize this to confirm that individual's identity?
I believe it to be one and the same.
Did you also have an opportunity to see social media posts in this case, State's Exhibit 110, that were extracted after the homicide of Charles Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
The account of Ghost 187, was that previously attributed to Mr. Rashad Murphy based on the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office's investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to see these posts?
Yes, ma'am.
When Prosper and Junior's G-Day Today 187 Babies image was depicted, was there anything of significance in that post to you?
The reference to the 187 and then Prosper and Tay, or Prosper and Junior.
Is Tay Dion Taholsi the individual you've already identified from the chart?
Correct, a.k.a. Junior.
Were those two individuals killed on the same day
Yes, ma'am.
by the father of someone related to this case?
They were, I believe, died by the hands of Gino Norris.
Would that have been Gino Norris Sr. or Gino Norris Jr.?
I believe it was Senior.
And do you know what the result of that case or investigation was?
I don't. I believe it was justifiable homicide.
But not certain, can't be certain.
Not certain. No, ma'am. Not certain.
How about the reference to 187 Babies?
187 Babies, go back to the 187 Boys, in which the younger version of Rashad, Noah, Reginald, when they were all coming up, that would have been around the same time Prosper and Tay were around.
What does 5L, 187 Boys, 5L, RIP Dem Members mean?
In my professional opinion, I believe he might have fat fingered it instead of he put 5L instead of putting 4L. So if he did mean to put 5L, I have no idea what 5L means. But if you read it as 187 Boys, 4L, which is for life, RIP to the members.
And is members any reference to any particular group?
Would be the 187 Boys.
Now, we talked a bit about Mr. Davion Murphy. Was there physical evidence that you indicated that you had an opportunity to review linked to Mr. Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that include a handwritten letter that, I believe, I'm not sure if you were present, but we've heard a stipulation from the court about a handwritten letter. Did you have one of those to review?
Yes, ma'am.
And State's Exhibit number 85, at this time, Your Honor, the state would seek to admit based on that stipulation.
Okay, any objection? Okay, all right, it'll be admitted.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 85. Mr. Davion Murphy
Is it
wrote
85 or 185? 85.
85.
Okay.
Wrote this letter. Sir, can you describe for me what, if any, significance or relevance there was to you, particularly in the message in the bottom right of the letter?
Yes, ma'am. So he mentions the gentleman known as Prosper, who lost his life, and then also a gentleman by the name of Bink. Bink is also known as Suge, which is also known as Avery McKnight.
And is Avery McKnight the legal name of Shug?
F. Shook, yes, ma'am.
And is Avery McKnight the legal name of Bink?
Correct.
And is that someone who was killed?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have an opportunity to review tattoos that Mr. Murphy had on his person?
Which Murphy?
Davion Murphy had on his person on January 15th of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
The state would seek to admit based on the stipulation 127P. Actually, 127A through Z, I apologize.
Okay. Other than previously made objections, any objection, Ms. Toomey? No. Okay, admitted.
Publishing 127P. Can you talk to us a little bit about those tattoos dated January 15th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am. So on the chest of Mr. Davion Murphy, you have a photo of Avery McKnight, aka Shug, and then 12/3 of 15. That is when Mr. McKnight unfortunately lost his life to gang violence. You have Corbin J., which is Corbin Johnson. He was also murdered in Jacksonville. And then I believe that is it. I'm unsure who Doug M. or Curtis B. is.
And did the opposing op, 6 Block, rap about Shug or Avery McKnight?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they rap about Corbin Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have an opportunity to observe Detective Meter photographing and observe the photographs that were depicted or taken that Detective Meter took on January 6th of 2025 after Mr. Murphy had been arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that arrest come several months after the remaining defendants?
That's correct.
And were you abreast of the information or the images that were depicted?
Yes, ma'am.
The state seeks to publish State's Exhibit number 69A through M.
Okay.
Sir, can you see the images before you?
Yes, ma'am.
If we could start left to right, please, in 69A, can you see the tattoo depicted there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the individual depicted based on the overalls from these photographs, Davion Murphy?
That's correct.
And what is the significance of the image on the left?
On the left, it says "Rest Up, Avery McKnight."
And do you see tattoos or document tattoos of fallen members of criminal gangs in your day-to-day activity?
Yes, ma'am.
When you see people who have died tattooed on 1,200 members, are you documenting that?
Yes, ma'am.
So is it required to document a tattoo under the statute or in your work only if it says, 1,200 member?
That would qualify as one of the, I would call it a predicate up underneath it, because of the 11 items under 874, that is one of them,
Is having tattoos.
is having tattoos.
Does the tattoo have a requirement as to what it has to say?
No, ma'am.
So you would document fallen members if tattooed on a person's body when you were looking at whether they meet the statutory criteria?
Correct.
In this instance, did the tattoos that you observed in these images meet the statutory criteria as it relates to Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
In the right side of the image here, do you see anything of relevance?
Yes, ma'am.
In what in the right image, or 69C, are we looking at?
Long live Jacoby J. Wright. And then also there's a 323 below his ear as well.
Is that of some relevance to you?
Yes, ma'am. So that's a 323 it stands for CTC. That would have been something that would have happened while he was in prison.
Is 320C a reference to the alphabet?
Correct.
Right. And what group did you have in Jacksonville assigned to you before 1200?
CTC.
Now, in looking at the images depicted here in State 69, what, if any, significance was the image in the center of the neck?
It says 1200 block.
And was there some relevance to you, and did you document that in your records?
Correct.
1200 block, is that an area of Jacksonville out east?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you seen this tattoo before in documenting gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
How about the image on the right side of your screen?
The right side on his top of his hand, it says Shug.
Is Shug Avery McKnight, as you've already described to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Are these additional images that were taken from Mr. Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
On the left shoulder and arm or bicep of Mr. Davion Murphy, was there another tattoo?
Yes, ma'am. There's a tattoo of which it says Joe Rod.
And was that of relevance to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there also a picture above the tattoo itself?
Yes, ma'am. That's a picture of Joe Rod, aka Spaz.
And is that Joe Rod Adams?
That's correct.
Is that the same individual you previously identified had been killed at the Rains High School shooting?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that by Robert Howard, 6 block member?
Yes, ma'am.
On the left side of the abdomen of Mr. Davion Murphy, did you document additional images?
Yes, ma'am.
What images did you document there?
The Forever Suge Knight Jr.
Could you point to us what you're reading or how you're seeing that and where?
Yes, ma'am. At the top it has Forever, and then at the bottom it has Suge Knight Jr. wrapped around.
And did you document anything on the photo on the right?
No, ma'am.
Now, during the course of Mr. Davion Murphy's interview, did you have an opportunity to review that footage?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to see the footage of him in the interview room independent of anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Did at some point during the course of that time by himself in the room, Mr. Murphy, Davion Murphy, throw any kind of sign or hand sign that you are familiar with?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that hand sign with his middle fingers down?
Yes, correct.
And what did that hand sign represent?
Is the 1200 hand sign.
I'm showing you what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 118. Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you document as a part of, or make note as a part of Mr. Davion Murphy's gang documentation or record that he had made this hand sign on the state?
That's correct.
Moving along to the evidence that has been previously admitted, as it relates to Isaiah Chance, did you have an opportunity to review the social media information that came back after Charles Jones's homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that on a return from an Instagram account?
That's correct.
In 87C8, did you make any note of anything?
Yes, ma'am. In the screen, Isaiah is holding up the 1200 hand sign.
Now, is Isaiah Chance at this time someone that you had documented as a 1200 gang member?
No, ma'am.
Does the statute documenting gang members require you statutorily to prove up the actual gang itself?
No, ma'am.
Did you make note of the fact that Isaiah Chance had utilized the 1200 gang sign?
Yes, ma'am.
In 126D, was that sign also represented on an extraction with Isaiah Chance utilizing that hand sign?
Yes, ma'am. He using it with his right hand, and he's also with a known 1200 member, Darius, a.k.a. Baby Coo, and then Little Bug in the middle, Daryl Bryant, which is a 1200 POI.
And did you make note of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Did something in March of 2024 occur called an Out East reunion?
Yes, ma'am.
And lastly, 87C22 and C7. Do you see the two images depicted here?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to document what, if any, relevance these two images had?
More of the 1200 hand sign.
All of which documented or recorded as in the return from the Instagram from Gutazay or Isaiah Chance.
Yes, ma'am.
As it specifically relates to an individual by the name of Sean Gathright, did you have anybody by the name of Sean Gathright documented as a 1200 member?
No, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to see a still from a video taken or extracted from the device information from Sean Gathright, an iCloud account?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you have an opportunity to make note of an image that was depicted from that still in 94D6?
Yes, ma'am. He's showing the 1200 hand sign.
Now, the 1200 hand sign, as I have understood it, was to put down the middle finger. Have you, in your investigations, seen the use of the middle finger or the ring finger utilized?
Yeah, so you want to read it from left to right, and so that's why when you decide which hand to put it up with, you'll see and read it differently.
Is that completely consistent all across all 1200 gang members, or are different techniques utilized for different members?
Different techniques for different members.
So have you seen in the course of your investigation of 1200 members, 1200 gang members utilizing only their middle finger down in all of their posts?
Correct.
Have you had an opportunity to see 1200 gang members utilizing the middle finger down on one hand and the ring finger down on the other so that it clearly depicts to you 12 and 12.
Correct.
So 1 and 2, 1 and 2.
Correct.
Did you have an opportunity to see a video which has been previously admitted in this case as 131, or stills from a video called Psychin' Out?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that by?
J. Breezy or Jacory Rivers.
On June 24th of 2024, when this video was posted, was Mr. Jacory Rivers affiliated to 1200?
Yes, ma'am.
And in reviewing that video, was Mr. Jacory Rivers pictured with another 1200 member?
Yes, ma'am. Noah Williams, aka Spin-a-Bins.
And did Noah Williams utilize the option that you've just talked to us about, which is one middle finger down and one ring finger down instead of both middle fingers down to make it 1200?
That's correct.
Is this in 131E a still image of that in use?
Yes, ma'am.
But in seeing a 1200 member throw up the number 12 to you or the sign of 1200 to you, are you able to document that as the use of a hand sign or a gang sign?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have an opportunity to see a video that had been posted by Spin-a-Bins and Wappa with the Choppa called Fulio Dead?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that come before or after the homicide of Charles Jones?
After.
Your Honor, at this time, the state seeks to admit State's Exhibit 133A through D.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No new objections, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Toomey, any new objections? No, Your Honor. Mr. Wise, any new objections? Sure. Mr. Petridis? Okay, admitted.
Sir, did you have an opportunity to review stills from Fulio Dead?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you document in that video anything of at least significance for you, not necessarily for the defendants in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing, or permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yep.
In 133A through D, are these the opening credits to that song, Fulio Dead?
Correct.
Were there any references in this song to the death of Charles Jones?
Yes, ma'am. In the opening scene, they have the photo of a Holiday Inn Express in which Mr. Charles Jones was ultimately murdered at.
And the name of Fulio, is that readily identifiable to you as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Are Spin-a-Bins and Wappa with the Choppa individuals that were also depicted in the 3 music videos we've already seen here today?
Yes, ma'am.
And was this still image from 133B taken from that Fulio Dead video?
Yes, ma'am.
What, if any, significance is the gun pointed at a Don Julio bottle in your 1200 investigation?
So it's a diss to 6 Block, specifically Fulio, with the name on the bottle being Don Julio, and then a firearm pointed at the bottle itself.
Did you see a significant uptick in the use of Don Julio bottles in the music videos after Charles Jones was murdered?
You've seen a big uptick in the sale or viewing of Don Julio after the death of Mr. Charles Jones.
What does it mean to put a tag or a bag on someone's head?
To put money up, similar to like a hit, to pay for murder for hire.
And what about putting a bottle of Don Julio on someone's head?
To do that, you're celebrating the death of that individual.
When you had an opportunity to review this video as well, did you also see another depiction of the disrespect towards the 6 symbol?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what we're seeing here in States 133D?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, may I have one moment?
Yes.
And then lastly, sir, did you have the opportunity to attend an interview room that Mr. Sean Gathright had been interviewed in?
Yes, ma'am.
And on the date of that interview, was the room itself audio and video recorded?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Did you have an opportunity to see and speak with an individual by the name of Sean Gathright?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And had you advised Mr. Gathright that he had been placed under arrest for the homicide of Charles Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the audio and video recording from inside of that interview room capture some moments with Sean Gathright after he had been advised of that information?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the state seeks to admit State's Exhibit 123.
All right, other than previous objections, any objection, further objection, Mr. Wise?
No, sir.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi?
No new objection.
Mr. Petridis? Okay.
Your Honor, may we have one moment, please?
Yes. Yep. Hold on, I need a prosecutor up here.
I am now publishing State's Exhibit 123.
Out. Let me out, bro. Let me out, bro. Let me out.
Sit in that chair and don't move.
Sir, what is on the ceiling of that interview room?
Ceiling tiles, and then the roof, it's unable to get out from that way.
And have you also had an opportunity to have to play music in the course of your interviews based on the aged construction of that building and that room itself?
Yes, ma'am.
I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
The document camera? 'Cause I'll do it right now.
Bear with me a minute, detective.
Yes, sir.
Detective, regarding the arrest of Rashad Murphy on July 30th in Jacksonville, that we saw that clip of the apartment complex, as you arrived and during the time you were there, he wasn't armed, was he?
Not that I know of, no, sir.
And you're not aware of any weapons or any guns, weapons of any kind in the apartment before he came out, correct?
It was unknown at the time.
Well, unknown at the time, and obviously you're not aware of anything being found in there that would indicate that he was armed, correct?
Correct.
And he didn't, while he was there, he didn't make any threats to anyone in any respect, did he?
No, sir.
Do you know if there was any communication with him by telephone or otherwise while he was inside?
At a certain point in time, we had hostage negotiators come out. They attempted to make contact with him. Now, whether they did or did not make contact with him, I do not know.
Okay. Do you have any idea whether he was going through any kind of a mental health episode in terms of him being in there and not wanting to come out?
I don't know.
There were no other people in there that were at risk. And when you talk about hostage negotiators, you're not suggesting that he was in there and there was someone that could have been deemed a hostage?
No, sir. We contact hostage negotiators to come in and try to calmly speak to people to have them come out so it wouldn't escalate to anything worse than what it could have been.
Understand. You're aware that about 3 or 4 weeks prior to that he was detained in Gwinnett County, correct?
Correct.
And were you aware that
Judge,
when...
will object to outside the scope and ask and answer the prior witnesses.
Overruled, you can ask, and if he knows, he knows. If he doesn't, he doesn't, okay?
Understood. So you are aware of his arrest in Gwinnett County, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you aware that he was tased in that incident?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you aware that he was tased when he was down on the ground in his private area, correct?
I know he was tased in his private area. I don't know when that occurred.
Were you aware that he had a gun pointed on his temple while
Yes,
he was
sir.
down on the ground?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you aware that there was also a gun on him as he exited the vehicle?
I was unaware of that.
Okay. How about, were you aware as part of that struggle that he had separated his shoulder, had to go to the hospital for medical care?
No, sir. I didn't know.
So, Detective, you started in the gang unit as it relates to your responsibility with 1200, beginning with, for lack of a better term, and I don't mean it with any disrespect, understudying the 1200 detective before he moved on, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you worked a couple of cases with him as you acclimated to this gang assignment, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been between January and June was this murder, so a matter of 4 or 5 months, you were the gang investigator for 1200, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at this particular time, I know you mentioned 1200 had already been established and designated as a gang.
Yes, sir.
During this early part of that transition, you were also still in the midst of your responsibilities with the other gangs you were transforming out of.
Yes, sir.
And during the normal, everyday course and scope of these investigations, you mainly, in an attempt to increase your information, your sources, your understanding, you rely very heavily on social media, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, Spaces, Reddit. Any of the social media platforms are a really critical part to you gaining information, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that would be coupled also with field type interviews and discussion on the street with either named or unnamed people, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you do so, and you utilize this as the main focal point in your understanding, you're going to have to trust, or you're going to have to, inclusive of what you utilize, know that these people that are posting, they may not be posting things that are true, correct?
Yes, sir, that's a possibility.
Okay, and you're going to have a difficult time, a majority of this time, corroborating things. You're just listening, and you're taking it and putting it into your brain and on paper for future use, correct?
Correct. Check but verify.
Not knowing and not being able to, on a lot of these times, verify something from sources other than what you hear and what you see on social media, correct?
Correct.
And when you started with 1200, you started looking at social media for various different alleged members or people that had been documented or people that were even associated or even responding to the social media posts that are being made by the people you're monitoring, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that the Instagram account Ghost87 is associated with Rashad Murphy, correct?
Ghost 187?
Yes.
Yes.
And are you aware of any other social media platform that Rashad Murphy has any association with?
No, sir.
Nothing on Spaces, never seen him on Spaces.
No, sir.
Never seen him on Facebook or any other platform, correct?
No, sir.
And the reason that you believe that he is associated with Ghost 87 is through what other detectives had indicated to you, correct?
Detectives and the field interviews.
Okay? And field interviews would mean you come upon somebody on the street, you ask them, hey, look, do you know, and for lack of a better term, Johnny Johnson or Jimmy Jones, known as Goodnight or known as Sunrise or whatever it may be.
Yes, sir.
And I don't mean to be funny, but I'm trying to suggest that when you ask about a number of different people, and then that person on the street may say, well, yeah, I know him, he's this, or I know him and he's this.
That's correct.
Okay? And so that's the way that you made a determination that there was an association with Rashad Murphy and Ghost 187 is a combination of asking these people on the street whether in fact it's so, and detectives from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office telling you that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you never saw Rashad Murphy post on Ghost 187, no profile picture of him, correct?
Correct.
No posts involving his friends or his family or pictures or stories of his kids, none of that, correct?
Correct.
Nothing that you yourself, in the terms of your investigation and furthering your understanding of 1200, would associate Ghost 187 with Rashad Murphy other than what we spoke about, correct?
Correct. In relation to the IG account.
Okay. You never screenshotted anything off of that account to memorialize it or to put it in a file or to document Rashad Murphy's use of that Instagram account, correct?
I did not know, sir.
You testified to 187. 187 obviously is part of that Instagram handle, number one, correct? And that was a yes, right?
Correct, yes, I'm sorry.
And then also 187 is linked to 187 boys. We talked about kind of two different things, correct?
Correct.
And isn't it a fact, essentially, that you have referenced this California Penal Code simply because you don't know any other reason why 187 would make sense?
No, sir. In one of the videos, they reference 187 back to the California Penal Code. I'm unsure right now which music video that they did it in, but they do make reference back to it. They only did it one time. It was a very short phrase in which they did it.
So the determination that you made as it relates to 187 relating to a penal code is not just an assumption by you?
What do you mean?
Isn't it just an assumption by Detective Griffin that 187, as it relates to that number being utilized and it having some reference to the California Penal Code, is just your belief?
I see what you're saying. Yes, sir.
without anything else to buttress it or corroborate it.
Correct.
And as I understand it, your belief that Ghost, the first part of that Instagram account, if it has any reference to Rashad Murphy, it's because you have been told, or your belief is, he's not a prominent figure up front, he's in the background, and essentially, again, other Jacksonville detectives have indicated to you that he's called Ghost, correct?
Correct.
As it relates to the murders that you discussed in your direct examination, you don't have any evidence, do you, Detective, that would associate Rashad Murphy with any of those shootings or any of those murders, correct?
No, sir.
And when you are discussing the structure of this particular group, 1200, you talked about it in terms of it being a hybrid, correct?
That's correct.
And a hybrid, I think as you stated, doesn't have any kind of initiation, it doesn't have any structure, doesn't have any guy at the top that tells somebody what to do, who then tells other people what to do, correct?
Correct.
You would agree with me that in a hybrid group, nobody answers to anyone else. It's more an association of where you grew up and what neighborhood you're in.
That's correct.
And along those same lines, I know you talked about on direct, I just want to make sure I clarify it. You talked about money or monetizing, because I think you said 187 used to be the music arm, whereby there was music production and music dissemination
You're
of.
going to object. This has continuously not been asked on direct examination, both of these lines of cross. Can we approach?
Yes?
Detective, you're aware that 187 used to be kind of the music arm. It was where and through what platform that these rappers produced their music. Is that a fact?
You're asking, was it also a music group?
Yes.
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 Okay. And you talked about monetizing. You talked about how the group got money on your direct examination.
Correct.
And you suggested, first of all, that sometimes the gang profits or gets money in order to produce this music by way of the commission of crimes, correct?
Correct.
Well, do you have any way of knowing, Detective, whether if a particular member or associate of the group 1200 goes and steals a car, anybody else gets any money other than that person who steals the car? You would not know that, would you?
Not without further interviews.
Okay. And what about if somebody sells drugs? You don't know that the 5 grams of cocaine that somebody sold would then be split amongst the rest of the group or go to some kind of fund that would produce or that would fund music. You don't know that either, do you?
No, sir.
So when you say that money from crime is utilized for the gang, you're making an assumption that that's what occurs, and you don't have any evidence to support that, correct?
Other than the observations when you see dope sales and then they go from riding in a Toyota Camry to now driving a, $100,000 vehicle, and they have no job or no employment, then you can associate that they made their money through the sales of illegal narcotics.
Well, normally when they're doing these productions, they're renting these vehicles for purposes of the production, aren't they?
Renting or putting in girlfriends, baby mamas' names.
Okay, and so you are inferring that if a crime gets committed, all or a portion of that would go to the gang because of what they have and what they utilize.
Correct.
So that's your assumption without knowing that to be the case, correct?
Yes,
Fair?
sir.
So, in gangs, individuals don't have to be told and are often not told to go commit a crime, correct? In these hybrid situations.
In the hybrid situation is likely no.
So, if somebody wants to go commit a crime, they can go commit a crime, and that doesn't mean that anybody else knows or acquiesced or was a part of it, correct?
Correct. You have the one-offs that go and do what they do.
Allowed and not part of any kind of a problem. So you can only loosely associate a crime being committed with the group or with a group of people simply because they associate, correct? Without knowing whether any one of them has any prior knowledge that something was going to happen or a crime was going to be committed.
I don't think I understand your question. So you're saying that combined together, the two individuals wouldn't know what one other is
No,
doing?
let's say two individuals that have some association with 1200 go ahead and go and commit a crime. We don't know, and you don't know, whether or not anybody else in that group or association knew that that crime was going to be committed potentially until after it was committed, correct?
Correct.
And you don't have to hate or dislike Charles Jones or Julio Fulio in order to be a part of 1200, correct?
Correct.
We looked at a lot of videos during the course of your direct examination. When someone is rapping or performing about people dying or people getting shot or celebrating someone's injury or death, that certainly doesn't mean that that person or anyone else in that video committed that crime, correct?
Correct.
They certainly could be celebrating somebody's demise or somebody's injury, but it doesn't presume or provide you any information or evidence that someone committed a crime, or you guys doing your job, as I know you do, would seek some type of arrest or prosecution, correct?
Not based off a music video, no.
Understood. But if you could combine that with any other evidence that someone committed a crime, you would certainly effectuate an arrest, correct?
Correct.
And many of these rap videos and many of the incidents they're talking about are unsolved murders, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, Detective, we talked a little bit about 874.03, which governs gangs in Florida, correct?
Correct.
And under that statute, you need two criteria to be met before someone can be documented.
That's correct.
And I think, as I understood it, you yourself individually like to have three criteria in order to document, correct?
Correct.
During the time in which you were with 1200 from January, let's go to June 1st, you didn't document anyone for 1200, did you?
Yes, I did. I
Who'd you-
believe so. It would have been Darius Bryant, or I'm sorry, Dale Bryant, which is AKA Baby Coo. I'd
Okay.
have to check the date though.
Okay, so you think, you're not positive,
Correct.
that during that time frame with 1200, you might have documented Mr. Bryant?
Mr. Bryant, yes.
And you do that, your documentation and the way it gets into the system is through an FIR, which is a field investigation report, correct?
Correct.
So let's look at the documentation of Rashad Murphy. I know you noted in the criteria, which would be D, a style of dress.
Yes, sir.
1200 does not have a style of dress, does it, on an everyday basis?
On an everyday basis, no, but they have shirts in which represent the group.
So on occasion, during a production, whether it be one or two or however many, sometimes they wear shorts that have a moniker or a picture or a saying that might relate to someone they're talking about in the video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But would you agree with me that when you talk about a style of dress, you talk about something that they wear as a group, maybe not every one of them, on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, correct?
No, they put it on, then that's the style of dress.
Okay,
Like you saying
so-
that they wore it for a short time and then took it off, that it doesn't classify as a style of dress?
So would that be your interpretation of the statute? That if somebody had a T-shirt with somebody else's name on it and they wore it twice, that would constitute a style of dress,
Yes, sir.
okay? And you would document someone based on that criteria, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that criteria is an interpretation by you as to what a style of dress means.
Yes, sir.
Understanding it's not the Crips or the Bloods, other styles of dress would be jewelry that have a particular logo or number or name on it, correct?
Correct, like a RIP chain.
Okay, but those are things that are worn every day. Those are things that are common to that person's body on a daily basis.
Yes,
That
sir.
would be a style of dress, correct?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with me that when a person RAPs, that you can wear jewelry, you can wear a T-shirt, you can wear a moniker, a saying, doesn't necessarily mean that that is a style of dress for a gang. You agree? Doesn't have to be.
We'll say that one more time.
Doesn't have to be a style of dress if a person were to wear a chain or wear a shirt that honors somebody that has died, correct?
It could. That's when you have to believe you would do a little bit more research in reference to who the person is, what their relationship was to the person that's on the shirt.
Got it. As it relates to tattoos, you would agree with me that Mr. Murphy doesn't have any tattoos that would be indicative of 1200, correct?
Not that I have observed before.
And he's never made any admission as being associated with a gang, correct? That you're
No, he
aware
hasn't.
of. So those criteria in the statute that requires you to have two, let's talk about those just individually very briefly. It's a fact, is it not, Detective, that Mr. Murphy was documented as a gang member after the murder of Charles Jones?
Yes, sir, that's true.
A month after the murder of Charles Jones, the Sheriff's Department made a decision to document him as a gang member, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that documentation was done after you, Detective Drabick, some of the other members of the gang unit in Jacksonville Sheriff's Department became involved in the investigation of that murder and the ultimate arrest of Mr. Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir.
In doing so, we've already talked about you relying on what you would suggest is a style of dress, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I think if I understood your testimony on direct correctly, if you are in a video and someone else uses a hand sign, that would be criteria that could document you, even if you didn't utilize that hand sign, correct?
You're saying if somebody standing next to me held up the hand sign,
Yeah.
could I use that? I would document that person, not you.
You would not document someone in a video where someone other than that person is utilizing a hand sign.
No, you would have to utilize the hand sign.
I want to draw your attention just so I can understand a little bit better. In States 114, there were several still pictures that are from the active video. I'm going to show you this one, which is States 114A2. Well, this is not a gang sign, is it?
No, it's a K.
That's a K.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not 6 block sideways.
No,
It's not. Okay, so it's a K. It's not
Yes.
a gang sign.
it's not a gang sign.
All right, and this one, which is A3, that's not a gang sign, is it?
Not that I know of.
And A4, that's not a gang sign, is it?
Can you zoom back
Yeah,
out?
I'm
on
sorry.
the sign?
That's not.
Can you,
Oh, zoom.
yeah, or back out, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
back it up. Better.
Not really, but not from what I can tell.
And you could look at this video, and if it's in real time, you would probably see somebody moving their hands, right?
Yes, sir.
So sometimes it might be a little bit misleading if you take a still shot at something because you don't know what the movements are before and you don't know what the movements are after. Would you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
This one, which is A114A6, if I understand you correctly, the right hand is not any type of a gang sign, correct?
Yes, sir, it's a 6.
The right hand is a 6?
Yeah, and so if you look at it from this point of view, it's a 6. His 3 fingers are pointed out. His pointer finger is folded into his thumb.
Well, I guess the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can make that decision for themselves. It doesn't look to me like I see an index finger and a thumb.
Question, it's a comment,
It's a comment, Judge.
right? Questions.
So it would be your belief that that constitutes a 6 in the right hand.
Yes, sir.
And again, this is a still shot of somebody moving during the
Yeah.
course of a fairly rapid paced video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Again, the same one we saw previously in 114A9. Not a gang sign, correct?
Yes, sir. And so he's holding the 12 sideways.
So that your interpretation would be that's a 1200 sign.
Yes, sir.
And I think you talked about this one, and I just want to make sure I understand. This would be States 114C9, and this would be as it relates to video We the Ops. As I understand it, the person on the right, that's a 6,
That's a 6, yes, sir.
okay? And is there anything happening with that person's right hand?
Yeah, he's holding a firearm.
Okay, and you're saying holding an actual firearm?
That's a gun.
Okay, I see it, okay. And then there's a gentleman in the middle, in the back,
Yes.
with a COVID mask on, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that that person, presumably Mr. Murphy, is not, none of this is his sign, correct?
No, sir.
Okay, I think I've showed you whatever I would need to, that might constitute that. Holding a gun in a video is not a crime if you're not a convicted felon, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're not aware that Mr. Murphy has any felony convictions, are you?
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, don't answer that question.
The other identifier, the other criteria that you utilize with regard to Mr. Murphy in documenting him as a gang member in July of 2024 would be associates with one or more known gang members, correct?
Yes, sir.
That would constitute his involvement or his being a part of that rap video production, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that alone, simply his appearance there, would meet that criteria,
Well, yes.
okay? And the fourth and last way would be that he was observed in the company or one or more gang members 4
Correct.
times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kind of a BOGO here, right? Kind of, essentially, it's dual criteria, because if you look at him associating with one or more gang member, or being in the company with 4 or more gang members, one would equal the other, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you get 2 criteria for the price of 1,
Yes, sir.
but they essentially involve the same activity.
Yes, sir.
And as you looked at those, the company of 4 or more, I think you talked about 2 traffic stops. One of those traffic stops was in 2021, correct?
I believe so.
The one where he was in a car with Noah and Reginald Williams?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're aware, are you not, Detective, having done, research on this case, that Mr. Murphy and the Williams brothers grew up together since they were kids in the same neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
And so his riding in a car with them, in and of itself, would meet the criteria to designate him as a gang member. Is that what you're
Being-
telling us?
It would fall up under the association with the 4 or more times, being in presence of as well.
Okay. And along with the hand sign, again, my question is, and you might have answered it, I'm sorry, I got distracted here for a minute. Just driving in a car with people that he has known since childhood, in and of itself, no matter whether or not there's a crime committed, no matter whether or not there's anything nefarious going on, that would check a box for you in terms of criteria to designate someone as a gang member.
Because that the people that he are in the car with are documented gang members.
Correct.
Yes,
Despite whatever other relationship or history you may have with them.
correct.
And I know you talked really briefly about a handshake. What are we looking at do you know off the top of your head what video?
That would have been the last video that was played. I don't. They all starting to run together. It was towards
Yeah.
the end of one of them. It was a very fast interaction at the end.
So fast that you can't replicate it, correct?
No, sir.
And you told us, I believe if I understood it correctly, you haven't seen it often. It's not often. It's not something like 1200 or 6 block.
Correct.
It's something that happens so fast that your assumption is it has some significance, but you don't have any way of authenticating that, correct?
That's correct.
Detective, I'm going to show you a picture, 88D1, and ask you if, based on your history and your knowledge of 1200 and gang involvement in of itself, can you identify these individuals?
I cannot, no, sir.
Okay? So you don't know if the guy on the right is Prosper Johnson.
I do not.
Don't know if the guy on the left is Sugar Avery McKnight.
I do not.
Would that have come before your time? Do you know?
Both of them, yes, sir.
And I noticed on multiple occasions in your direct testimony, you did refer to Prosper Johnson and his death in 2014, correct?
Correct.
And you also made reference to Deontay Holsey as well, correct?
Correct, Prosper and Tate.
And I noticed when you looked at the gang chart, there's not one, but there's two names there. But as you testified on direct examination, did you not refer to him as Deontay Holsey?
Correct.
Bear with me 1 minute.
Okay.
I don't have anything further. Thank you, Detective.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Toomey?
Good afternoon, Detective.
Hello, ma'am.
All right, so I just want to go through a couple things with you with regards to your training in the investigation of gangs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's my understanding that you attended the gang conference that's put on once a year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that started in 2021
Yes, ma'am.
for you,
Yes, ma'am.
which is when you initially became a member of the gang unit in Jacksonville.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you attended the conference that very next year,
Yes, ma'am.
and also in 2023 as well,
Yes, ma'am.
in 2024,
Yes, ma'am.
skip 2025.
I didn't go to 2025.
What about 2026?
No, ma'am.
Haven't gone, or is it,
It's not until, I believe, August.
I was gonna say so. All right. So other than going to those, was it a 1 week conference, like 4 days, 4 nights?
4 days.
Conferences once a year, have you had any other, training in investigating gangs?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you attended the basic gangs investigation course
Yes, ma'am.
and the intermediate gang course as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think it's the advanced as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. In addition to training regarding gangs in, what another course that you've taken?
The HIDA also puts on courses.
Well,
in
that's for
reference-
general, isn't that more like for general police work?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. But they also do a gang course as well.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long is that gang course for?
It's just a day.
A day. All right, very well. Now, in 2021, when you became part of the gang unit, you were responsible for 3 separate gangs, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it wasn't until 2023 approximately that, well, actually 2024, that you became solely responsible for 1,200.
Late 2023, first part of 2024.
In the 2023, the late 2023, that's when you were assisting Bo Daigle, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and he became what? Did he get
He got promoted to supervisor.
promoted to supervisor? And who was your supervisor? Well, who was his supervisor before?
Sergeant Johnny Cook.
Okay, and was he the only supervisor, Bo Daigle, over 1,200?
Said what he, I'm sorry.
Was he the only like supervisor? What does a supervisor do for the detectives?
They manage, attend meetings and look over our paperwork.
Right, so they're kind of like the supervisor, a sergeant, supervisor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Bo Diego was one, right?
A detective or a sergeant?
And then he was a detective, then he became a sergeant, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then someone took his place.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
Would have been me.
That was you. Okay. Prior to Bo Diego, who was the supervisor?
I'll object at this time as to relevance, Your Honor.
I sustain the objection.
Okay. So in 2024, you became solely responsible for 1,200.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And part of your main part of the majority of your responsibilities is monitoring social media, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Instagram,
Yes, ma'am.
Facebook,
Yes, ma'am.
I guess it's X now, but it's formerly known as Twitter.
Yes, ma'am.
Which has spaces, but now I guess it no longer has spaces. I'm not sure.
Yes, ma'am.
What else is there? Snapchat, do you monitor Snapchat as well?
Got Snapchat and Reddit,
Reddit, okay. In fact,
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse is another one, right? What about Signal? Is that something that you guys use or monitor?
I do not know, ma'am.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but I haven't yet to monitor it.
And Jacksonville is very, very involved in social media itself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Seems to be a very transparent agency.
Are you referring
Would
to
you
the
agree?
sheriff's office?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in monitoring those, all those different social media platforms, would you agree with me that a lot of those postings, whether it's a post, whether it's a meme, whether it's a video, it's anecdotal? Would you agree with me?
What do you mean?
Well, it's based on one person's opinion, their purview of what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have to be able to differentiate out what is correct or incorrect or half correct,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And one of the ways that you do that, in addition to monitoring social media, is by making field contacts with people out in the community.
Yes, ma'am.
And the sheriff's office has confidential informants,
Yes, ma'am.
some of which are actually paid to provide intelligence or information.
Yes, ma'am.
And then others that are become confidential informants to work off charges,
Yes, ma'am.
and literally to work off charges, to not be arrested, right, by you guys, right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And then depending on how they do, their charges could just go away,
Yes, ma'am.
and they won't even be arrested,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And then there's other individuals that provide intelligence and information that have already been arrested, but are looking for a reduced sentence,
Yes, ma'am.
right, from the state attorney's office,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Not necessarily from you, because you can't do that, but they're looking for you to tell the state, hey, yes, this person cooperated with us, provided us whatever information they provided you, they were very helpful, blah, 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 and to see if they could get a reduced sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then you also have individuals that are anonymous, that you don't know, right?
Yes,
You don't-
ma'am.
That won't provide their name to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
They may call, what is it, do you have Crime Stoppers?
Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers, anonymous, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you still have to decide whether you have an anonymous caller or whether you have a confidential informant, whether they're being paid, working off a sentence, or something different. You still have to determine whether or not the information that they're providing you is credible.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to confidential informants, these anonymous tips from Crime Stoppers and the like, you also do a lot of traffic stops in Jacksonville.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's something that you don't necessarily like to do, right?
I love doing traffic stops.
You do?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You didn't testify in your deposition that that wasn't something you liked to do or cared to do?
That I didn't like or cared, I'm confused. No, because we go out, we do what we call a gang violence interdiction. We go out and make traffic stops, contacts with individuals.
All right. And the point of those traffic stops, which are done during nighttime, during the day, is to make contact with individuals and gather information.
Yes, ma'am.
And they can either give you information or they don't, right? You ask them whatever you're
Correct.
gonna ask them, right?
Correct.
Do the majority of those individuals provide you with information?
It's, you can flip a coin on, some do, some don't.
And then the information that's provided to you, what do you do with it?
Check but verify.
Do you write it down somewhere? Do you notate it somewhere? Keep a folder of this person that has provided you information?
We, depending on what it is, we either can document it in an FIR or we don't document it at all and we just go do our own separate investigation to find out whether they're telling us the truth or they're just telling us stuff to either A, get out of the traffic stop, B, reduce their charges. There's a variety of reasons on, we still have to check to make sure what they're saying is truthful.
Okay, so do you, but do you keep this documented somewhere at the sheriff's office?
In the FIR, some, and then others, no.
Others, no.
Correct.
Okay. Then additionally, you have, I guess you call them cold contacts, right? Where you just approach individuals on the street of Jacksonville and see if they'll talk to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And some of them do talk to you, right? And they provide you information.
Some do.
Okay. And in your investigation on all the social media platforms that I've talked about, your contacts with individuals on the street, traffic stops, what have you ever heard of Davion Murphy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so he doesn't have an Instagram, right?
No, ma'am.
No Facebook,
No, ma'am.
no X's or Twitter?
No, ma'am.
And none of your contacts, either confidential informants or anonymous calls, have mentioned his name to you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And in fact, Davion Murphy, to your knowledge, doesn't have a nickname, right?
No, ma'am.
And I can approach the clerk.
Well, keep it in the folder. What exhibit are you showing this witness?
This is gonna be State's Exhibit 84A, 84A through C, but this is Exhibit 84A.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you help create this chart?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you create it?
Shortly after, I didn't create it, I was just asked to look over it and see how, how accurate it was.
So you didn't create it?
Not create it, no, ma'am.
Okay. All right. You were asked just to look to check it for accuracy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know where this picture, this is Davion Murphy, right?
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
nickname. Do you know where that picture was taken from?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Our interview room.
And isn't it true that you watched the interrogation of Davion Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
That at that point in time where he's showing us his hands, he's singing to a song.
Without the video playing, that possibly, but right there, he just looks like he's showing a hand sign.
Okay. But you don't have any other photographs of Mr. Murphy, Davion Murphy, with any other hand signs like that?
No, ma'am.
And we talk about hand signs. There seems to be quite a few different, I guess, hand signs that you are attributing, or your office is attributing to the 1200 group.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there a specific hand sign that you can say definitively is for 1200?
That one.
That one. So anything but that such as this one,
Additional.
that's the second
Which one? Which one? You talking about Rashad?
Yes.
No, that's a dis sign, so that's a 6 with the thumbs down logo.
Okay. And what about Jacory Rivers?
So Jacory Rivers is throwing up what we refer to as, that would be lawbreakers.
Okay, so that's different than this sign?
Yes, ma'am.
How so? What's the difference?
So he's intertwining his 2 fingers, and that's the hand sign for lawbreakers.
Okay, so it's a hand sign for lawbreakers, not
1200. Yes, ma'am.
right? And then this guy,
Yes, ma'am.
are those the same hand signals?
Yes, ma'am.
Reginald
signs?
Williams.
Are they?
Are they the same? Yes, ma'am. That's the 1200 hand sign.
Okay. All right. So at least on this 84A gang chart that you looked at,
Sure.
looked at for accuracy, there are at least 2 different hand signs, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And one, you said, does not equate to 1200.
Correct. Well, lawbreakers is a group that's associated with 1200. They're friendly, very similar to ATK.
Has Jacksonville Sheriff's Office ever infiltrated a gang?
What do you mean, like work side, like did
Like
like an
inside a
undercover
gang?
with the gang?
Yeah.
I believe our motorcycle unit has, but I'm not sure if our gang unit has.
Okay, so that would be a no,
No.
right? And you're familiar with the term trolling or people that are trolling on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And trollers really just are meant to disrupt and cause issues with people that are on the internet.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
posting lies or what have you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you talked briefly about Mr. Davion's tattoos. Is there a tattoo that is specific to 1200?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
1200 block.
Okay. If Rashad Murphy doesn't have one of those tattoos, what does that mean?
It means he doesn't have the tattoo.
Is there any other tattoos that are specific to 1200
On Mr. Davion,
in general?
well, you have the fallen members who died by way of gang violence. Big shout out to them. You have the ones that say Suge Nation. Quite a few of them.
All right, well, let's talk about the falling members. Just because someone tattoos someone's name on their body that is deceased does not necessarily, that doesn't equate to a gang tattoo. Would you agree?
Not solely just that, no ma'am.
Okay. Even if you had 10, 15 names tattooed on your body, doesn't make you a gang member, right?
No ma'am.
And the videos that we watched, you would agree that Davion Murphy was not in any of those videos?
No ma'am, he was not.
Okay. Style of dress. What is it about Mr. Davion's style of dress? Or does he have a style of dress that is associated with 1200?
He doesn't, no ma'am.
He doesn't? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Wise?
Afternoon, Detective.
Hello, sir.
Detective,
you as the the 1200 expert did not know who Sean Gathright was until Tampa PD contacted you in connection with this case, right?
That's correct.
I want to ask a little bit about that video clip that we saw during your direct. That clip is taking place in a Jacksonville Sheriff's Department building, correct?
Yes, sir.
A police station, right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Gathright knew he was in a police station, right?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't walked in blindfolded or anything, right?
Correct.
You said yourself, you're not getting out of that building through the ceiling, right?
That's correct.
Mr. Gathright knew there was a camera in that room as well, right?
I believe he had known there's one in there.
Because by the time of that clip that we watched, he had been in that room for about 3 hours, right?
Yes, sir.
During that time, he's pacing around that room a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, he's basically just in the room for 3 hours, right?
Yes, sir.
There are times during that 3-hour period when he knocks on the door, right?
Yes, sir.
Like when he needs to use the restroom, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you even escorted him to the restroom at some point, right?
I could have, I'm not sure.
Somebody did at least once, right?
Yes, sir.
So he clearly knows there's officers outside, right?
Yes, sir.
In the little clip that we saw, he stands up on a chair and then stands up on a table, right?
Yes, sir.
But then he gets back down, right?
Yes, sir.
Because when you and the other detective come in, he's standing in the middle of the room, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we hear, I think it's the other detective tells him, sit down on that chair.
Yes, sir.
Right? And he does, right?
I don't think he does. I think he goes and stands against the wall.
Okay, but in any event, he doesn't cause you any more trouble after that, right?
Not necessarily. He begins mouthing off back to us
Okay.
on what he's not going to do.
Okay. And shortly after that, then he's taken to the jail, right?
Shortly after that, he's handcuffed and removed out.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Petridis?
Afternoon, Detective.
Hello, sir.
You have never documented Isaiah Chance's 1200 gang member, correct?
No, sir, I haven't.
And before the murder of Mr. Jones, you had never come in contact with Mr. Chance, correct?
I've never had contact with him. No, sir.
And you were aware of the post that Detective Nieder has talked about, the quote-unquote switching up post from ATK to 1200, but you weren't too concerned about it when you heard about it, correct?
Correct.
And because ATK and 1200 are close groups, they, at some point, were in each other's, they would be in each other's music videos, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know when the last ATK 1200 music video was made? Has it been some time?
It's been a while.
Okay, so we're talking years.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of Isaiah Chance's music?
I know he makes music, but very little.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mr. Chance in any 1200 videos? Or
No,
videos
sir.
made by 1200 members?
No, sir.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay,
Thank you,
Reverend?
Detective.
Yes, sir.
First, Judge J. Wood, seek to admit State's Exhibit 114A10. I realized we had a duplicate photo in 114, and I've provided that for review to Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Sonardi? Mr. Wise? Mr. Petridis? Okay, be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, you were asked by Mr. Gonzalez on your cross-examination about the video active. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you recall the content or the stills that we looked at briefly from that video itself?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were asked about the K that was utilized by the defendant. Do you remember that, Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
And in utilizing that K, were there other still images that were depicted just after of also the number 6 with Rashad Murphy's hand?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what we're seeing in the center photo of 114 here?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what you were referencing when you said K6 or 6 killer or kill 6?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, as you documented these items, is your use of the review of social media or music videos, frankly, the only thing that you analyze or use in documenting gang members as a part of 1200?
No, ma'am.
Do you also obtain items of physical evidence, other items of evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
You were asked several questions along the lines of what, if anything, other people get, whether there are testifying co-defendants, about anonymous tipsters. You did not have an anonymous tipster in this case, correct?
No, ma'am.
You did not have a cooperating co-defendant, nothing like that, correct?
No, ma'am.
As far as your documentation of Rashad Murphy or the fact that Davion Murphy, as you've testified, meets the gang criteria, you didn't utilize anyone outside of the gang of 1,200 or informants for any kind of outside confirmation for an informant tip, correct?
That's correct.
You utilized documented clothing, documented hand signs?
Correct.
The use of those hand signs in his association with known criminal gang members 4 or more times?
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing with the tattoos, as we talked about with Davion Murphy, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And him having been in the actual physical presence of gang members, is that correct for Rashad Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Physical presence of actual gang members, did you learn that Davion Murphy was in Tampa, Florida as a result of this investigation with his co-defendants?
Yes, ma'am.
All of these things that occur that you're asked about, crimes that occur, are you able to document them before they happen?
Yes, ma'am.
You have magical powers of reading into the future?
Oh, no. Like, not
Okay.
until everything had occurred,
Okay.
we saw it and then we documented it.
All right, so when you see that a crime has occurred and 1,200 members are present or have been arrested for it or something like that, and you end up documenting it, does that always or often happen after the fact?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
all
'cause
right.
you get all
Just
the
wanted to clarify.
reports.
You were just asked about documentation that occurred after this particular homicide. Did you obviously obtain information or evidence as it related to the homicide of Charles Jones that was referred back to Jacksonville?
Yes.
Did you make note of that information and evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time that Charles Jones had actually been killed, though, both Davion Murphy and Rashad Murphy both met the statutory criteria for a criminal gang member, correct?
Yes, ma'am, they did.
You were asked about whether 187 is a rap group. Is everyone in 187 a rapper?
No, ma'am.
Are you familiar with any music videos by Rashad Murphy or 187 Ghost or Ghost 187?
No, ma'am.
You were asked about how drug dealing and stealing cars benefits gangs. Have you, in the course of your time working 1,200 or any other gang or case in Jacksonville, had an opportunity to know about the use of stolen vehicles to commit murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that by the use of documented gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that one way in which a criminal activity benefits the gang?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the course of those killings, is there anything that can be said about the advancement of each gang over their rival when they kill a rival member?
Yes, ma'am. It gives them credibility to speak of the dead and make fun of the those that have lost their lives to gang violence.
When you were asked about your community outreach, are you only stopping vehicles and talking to gang members in that way?
No, ma'am.
Tell us about what community outreach activities you actually participate in.
We also, our unit every Thursday morning, we have a pastor and community leaders, which we identify a lot of times it's youthful offenders who we see going down the wrong path. We go out and make contact with them along with their parents and explain to them that there's another way. We offer them assistance not involving the sheriff's office, and so we learn to step back and let the community leaders and the pastors speak to the youth about what road they might be traveling down to avoid whatever could happen down the road.
Does that sometimes work?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen that not work in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
Meaning you've seen documented gang members as time goes on that have been people a part of that community outreach.
Say what now?
You've gone out for community outreach and then ultimately it doesn't work. Those people get arrested or become a member of a gang.
Yes, ma'am, or lose their life to gang violence.
Do you have an opportunity to develop relationships as a part of your duties day to day with both former gang members and current gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to object beyond the scope.
I'm going to, at some point, sustain it, so let's kind of get to the point here and move along.
Do you have the opportunity to interview former and prior members? You were asked about field interviews for Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that one of the ways as what you're responding to as you obtaining additional information?
Yes, ma'am.
In those instances, is there anything to give or get in that scenario?
In reference to, do we get anything from it?
Right. I mean, you were asked if people were paid for information, not in the documentation of Rashad Murphy or Davion Murphy, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, did this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Free to go.